You have voted and I have answered. With the final results from the poll that I have created for most of you have also decided to go with was ended up being as my most anticipated list of games in the 2019 and beyond. But we must not forget that 2018 have been a great year for gaming, with the excellent pool of AAA titles as well as the indie hits. This year has built up some of the serious momentum that doesn't seem to be slowing down as 2019 approaches. With a new year comes a bunch of new games that fans have been dying to get their hands on. So, before we shall continue, I do want to mention that I will introduce my own picks, and my apologies if you do not see yours. This list will contain my top 10s, and number 1 shall be my most that I'm looking forward to. Without any further delay, let us begin this interesting adventure of my most anticipated games in 2019 and beyond. So, enjoy. Days Gone, kind of like Sons of Anarchy meets 28 Days Later. You play as a lone biker surviving the wake of the global pandemic. Even though the gameplay seems a bit stale, it has a lot to live up to if it wants to compete with the pantheon of other first-party Sony exclusives. But something tells us this game will catch a lot of people's off guard when it releases in the April 26th. As billions were wiped out, as many millions more became the freakers. That's the zombies to you and me, by the way. As if zombies weren't scary enough, Days Gone turned them into water-like mass capable of flooding into corridors with the speed and fury of tsunami. They are far more overwhelming threat than the Night of the Living Dead zombies in the games like Resident Evil. A perfect segue.
Tell and Rhodey. Go tell and Rhodey. Go tell and Rhodey that everybody's dead.
Resident Evil 2 Remake. In this day and age, remakes, reboots, remasters pretty much have become the norm of every form of entertainment, including gaming. However, in the case of Resident Evil 2, this is a remake fans have been begging Capcom to make for years. Serving as a follow-up to the Resident Evil 7, Capcom will be looking to borrowing heavily from the smash hits horror title in order to bring the Resident Evil 2 into the modern age, introduced, or should I say reintroducing the world to the Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield as they find themselves in the middle of surprise zombie outbreak in the fictional town of Raccoon City. With a new engine, reimagined cutscenes, as well as tighter over-the-shoulder camera, Resident Evil 2 will deliver the chills fans have grown to love from the series, and I cannot wait as I also will be live streaming it right here on YouTube, 25th of January 2019. Sekiro Shadow Die Twice comes to us from the same team that developed Bloodborne for the PlayStation 4. The game looks comparable in the gameplay to a Bloodborne as well as the developer's other notable work, the Dark Souls series. However, the games won't feature an RPG elements nor multiplayer modes like the others do. Personally, I think it might be a good thing. Sakura looks highly ambitious, both graphically and its gameplay mechanics, and no doubt will be looking to exceed what fans have come to expect from the Dark Souls developers as it gets closer and closer to its release date, March 22nd. Anthem. After the debacle that was the Star Wars Battlefront 2 and the Mass Effect Andromeda and the name EA, oh god. Both EA and BioWare are looking to turn things around, hopefully, with their new third-person sci-fi space shooter Anthem. In Anthem, you'll be flying around shooting space monsters from the comfort of the Iron Man kind of an exosuit, drawing many similarities to Destiny in its appearance as well as its online live service model. Many are skeptical as to whether or not Anthem will be able to deliver what players have come to love from BioWare games, even though BioWare are going against player choice impacting the game's story as well as the ability to form bonds with the NPCs. Hopefully the game is free of loot boxes and able to occupy a space that many titles haven't had a much luck with. Even though I did mention loot boxes, we never know in the future. Personally, I just want a Destiny replacement when it was in its glory days on the February 22nd. Metro Exodus. With the 2 Metro games under its belt, both of which flying are under the many players' radar, developer 4A Games is leading into the dark, gritty tone of the series more than ever. It's a game about nuclear monsters, survival and humanity. It's also a first-person shooter. In Metro Exodus, the series finally exits the underground subway tunnels of previous games for a higher ground. What you'll find there remains to be seen, but I'm excited to explore the beautiful, awful wastes and explore to my heart's content on the February 15th. The Outer Worlds. Many fans have a post-apocalyptic RPG-sized hole in their hearts after the letdown that was Bethesda's Fallout 76. Except me, I was smart enough, to completely avoid the giant mess that I already knew was going to be. And so Obsidian, the developer that wants to make it very clear they are the creators of the original Fallout games, it looks like to fill that void with the Outer Worlds. Set in the eerily similar futuristic world brimming with the mutated creatures and rival factions, the Outer Worlds centered its attention on a player choice and exploration in a semi-open world, with the announcement trailer giving off major Fallout New Vegas vibes, except to see plenty of dialogue options as well as a deep RPG elements that provide players with flexibility in how they choose to approach the game. Without romances though, and sometime will be up and coming in 2019.
A silent, faulty feeling. A silent fault.
Death Stranding. What the heck is Death Stranding? Even after I've seen several of the trailers for the game, I still have no idea. All we know that the game is being created by Metal Gear series creative lead Hideo Kojima, a legendary figure in the video game business. It stars Norman Reedus of The Walking Dead fame. He's the main character. Mads Mikkelsen, a Danish actor best known as Hannibal Lecter from Hannibal, and appears to be the antagonist. The game is the collaboration between Hideo Kojima and famed film director Guillermo del Toro. It's being funded by Sony, which means the game is only coming to a PlayStation 4 sometime, whenever it will be. The Last of Us Part 2. A critical success of The Last of Us, fans have been dying to see a follow-up game from the developer Naughty Dog. Set 5 years after the events of The Last of Us 1, Part 2 will focus on Ellie as main character, with Joel also making an appearance. It is still early in the development. Little is known about the game's story, however. The footage gameplay we've seen so far seems to highlight Ellie's anger, her rage, along with its impact of those around her, will be the focal point within The Last of Us Part 2. After they finish the first game, this really opens eyes and sees how it can really have a deep dive into the narrative that you will be invested into these characters. I simply cannot wait whenever it's going to be released. Ghosts of Tsushima, a samurai game set in feudal Japan. Where the freak do I sign? Get me those papers now. The year is 1274. Samurai warriors. As one of the last survivors samurai, you rise from the ashes to fight back. But honorable tactics won't lead you to victory, and so in order to survive, you will need to adapt, learning to utilize stealth in order to fight to the freedom of your people, becoming a badass ninja. The game was under development for about 5 years, so I think it's almost time to hear much more about this beauty, and we do not know, unfortunately, when will be the release date.
It's a city of dreams, and I'm a big dreamer.
Now, my most anticipated game, Cyberpunk 2077, is what happens when you mix Blade Runner with Grand Theft Auto. As an open-world action game set in a dystopian future where body modification is standard and cold, anti-capitalism is the driving force of society. After achieving a massive success with the Witcher series, CD Projekt Red is looking to achieve an even more ambitious feat with Cyberpunk 2077. Set in a futuristic alternative reality, players will be able to experience a beautiful tech-obsessed open world called Night City, throughout the customizable character named V. As this is 100% definitely my top choice as being my most anticipated game. Whenever it's going to be ready, as it says, when it's ready. I wanted to mention that I have not forgotten of the likes of Gears 5, Doom Eternal or Rage 2 and many more. I personally think that these games have less opportunity to hit the home run with me, as I believe it's not my cup of tea. Either way, I just wanted to make this as a special video and thank you many of you, my loyal supporters of this channel, and achieving a reach goal over of 3,000 subscribers as we hit a new year of 2019. A new year, a new me, or so they say. Who even thought of that? I think that this channel has a lot to show for and going in a greater road ahead of itself and see where can this future bring us. So stick around and subscribe to see exactly where will this road will lead all of us. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking around, and thank you for being a part of this video and expressing your voice in the comments and choosing the rating that this video deserves, a like or a dislike. Either way, I wanted to mention one last time, thank you for tuning in until the very end, pretty much listening to me ramble a little bit as well. So, I wanted to talk to you later and in my future videos to come, and don't get me wrong, there will be more. Anyway, well, thank you so much again. I really do appreciate you sticking around here, and have an awesome year.